Take it from
Style.
that. Oh my goodness. All right, so I've got another one. This one says, "This is a story from my family. When my mom was a young girl growing up in Vietnam, she had this weird dream about being in a darkened church. Everyone was talking in hushed tones, but it was English, so she didn't understand what was going on. But she remembered certain details, like the stained glass windows and the baptismal font. She told her parents, but they were kind of dismissive. They just told her it was a weird dream. A few years later, she was forced to flee South Vietnam because of the Vietnam War. Her family relocated to Florida, and they started their life over. About 10 years later, she went to the local Catholic church for her younger sister's confirmation. And suddenly, she realized it was the same church she had dreamed of as a child.
Uh-oh.
The same darkened church, the same stained glass, the same baptismal font. She talked to her parents again, and they remembered her having the dream and describing the place exactly.
So it was, she dreamt about it before she went in the building? Is that what's supposed to be scary about it?
Well,
it's not so much scary. It's just, how could such a thing happen? She obviously foretold the future.
True. But, I mean, okay, never mind. I'm
it's
thinking about it too deeply, I think.
Foretold...
clairvoyance.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. That's what I'm looking for.
I don't know about you guys, but have you ever had a dream of something and then it happened?
Sure. I mean, little things.
I'm trying to think. Well, of course, for me, the most wasn't a dream. It was some sort of fugue state, as they say. I went into kind of a trance when my grandmother died, and this shadow figure, I don't know if it was literally a shadow. I don't think it was a shadow figure in your sense.
Right.
It wasn't so much humanoid, and I mean, I've told the story many times, but I was in college, my freshman year of college. It was very late, maybe 3 a.m. I was sound asleep. I had a roommate. It was my freshman year. He was sound asleep. The door was on his side of the room. You could always see, some light from under the door that came from the hallway. Otherwise, it was dark. So a shadow appeared by the door, and I woke up as it appeared. I had been utterly asleep. The next instant, I was utterly awake. There was no in between. I was wide awake, sitting up, straight, bolt upright. The shadow moves across the room, not a big room, it's a dorm room, to me. It envelops me. It comes over my entire body. While it could have been 5 hours, it could have been 20 seconds. I'm sure it was much closer to the 20 seconds, but it felt forever. While it was enveloping me, I had this weird electrical sort of sensation going through me, but I was utterly paralyzed. I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't speak. Nothing. Then after however long it was, I'm guessing it was probably maybe 30 seconds, possibly as long as a minute, which would be a really long time under the circumstances. It just disappeared. I went right back to sleep. Next morning, I get a phone call from my mother saying, your grandmother has died in California. And so the timing of it, the estimated time of death, was exactly when I had this experience. On top of that, as we discussed it further, my mother had the exact same experience at the exact same time. So my mother and I are 200 miles apart or something like that in Ohio, and my grandmother was 2,500 miles away in Southern California, and we had this simultaneous experience. It was our hope, as we discussed it, my mother and I, that we had somehow shared in my grandmother's experience. She had a heart attack and died. We talked to people, we talked to doctors. They said, yes, that very much can feel, that's what a heart attack can feel like.
Mhm.
And it was at the exact same time. We both had that feeling, and we would like to think that we took some of her burden away. If nothing else, we shared it with her, which hopefully took some of the burden, some of the fear, some of the whatever away from her. So that is my most powerful, sort of dream in real life experience, and it's indelible. I still have dreams about that experience every once in a while.
Were you paralyzed during the experience, or were you able
Utterly.
to move?
No.
So that sounds like shadow people's stuff, because they don't take form. Shadow people don't always take a form, like they're a black mass, and they bring foreboding and death sometimes. That it's different. Okay.
Well, I don't think it brought it. It felt like
A shared experience, maybe.
Experience.
Yeah.
Simultaneous shared experience. And like I say, my mother had the same thing.
Yeah,
at the
it's
same
weird.
time, in the middle of the night.
Well, that was kind of a
That's crazy.
life-changing event, right, Eric? I mean, that had to kind of change your outlook on a few things.
I'm sure.
It's extremely powerful and profound. And like I said, it at least gave my mother and I a sense of hope that we had had a shared experience, and that had alleviated some of her burden. That's what we have always thought and always hoped. And if nothing else, the simple fact of our going through, and perhaps we hope the same thing that she was going through at the same time, maybe somehow, some way, on some level, she was aware of that, and that helped her, that we hope.
Mm.
Now, you said you have dreams about this? What do you mean? Those still have dreams about this?
Every once in a while, I'll have a dream about that very experience. I will relive that experience in a dream.
Huh. That's really
Does
different.
it feel as impactful in the dream today, even as it did then? No.
It feels like a dream. So it's a level removed from reality, whereas the experience itself was absolute reality.
Sure.
There was no question that it happened to me, and it was just one of those really profound, indelible experiences.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. I've had some really vivid dreams, especially about my father coming to me, and those are always crazy.
Yeah.
Because you wake up and you just know it wasn't all a dream. It's just too vivid. And I don't know, Eric, have you had that since your dad passed? Like I've had with my dad?
I haven't since then, and we're now talking, it was a year ago, July 1st.
Yeah.
But the very night he died. I mean, he died in the afternoon, but that night I had a very vivid dream about him, and he was saying, "Everything's okay. I'm fine. Thanks so much for all you did for me." Because we took care of him. I took care of him.
Right.
And and take care of your mother, that kind of thing. But this very, very, very deep, abiding sense of peace, and that things would be okay, even for me, that my life would be okay.
Nice.
And I appreciated it. I cannot tell you, because we were so sad. I mean, obviously,
Right.
This is the night. The entire family gathered around in the hospital room. Kind of the Hallmark Channel, version of it. I mean, that part was fine, but it doesn't really make it any better. You're still watching.
Yeah.
Someone you care about to that extent passing away. And so that night, to have those kinds of feelings and that sensation, and to be told, it's okay, I'm okay, you're going to be okay, take care of your mother, it was really helpful.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, I found the same way. Very helpful. Mine is quite frequent, though. It hasn't happened once. It happens maybe once every couple months. Just very vivid, very just there we are in the moment. It doesn't feel like a dream. It's more of a conversation. And in fact, sometimes it's been relayed to me that you'll wake up tired because you really weren't sleeping. I mean, your body was, but your mind wasn't, because you were engaged in this dialogue with this person that's dead. They come to you in that way, and that's the preferred and the easiest way for the dead to come to you is in your dream state, because that's the nearest you are really to being dead, is when you are sleeping, because your subconscious takes over.
And Freddy Krueger might kill you.
And he might. Mm-hmm. And Johnny Depp, too.
I'm not sure how I feel about the fact that it hasn't happened again.
Mm-hmm.
I think on some level, I'm fine with it, because that means he really has moved on, and that word that he left with me was kind of the final word.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, we've had so many people say, the people with the, sort of second, third additional sight, mediums, people with powers, and they kind of all say the same thing. Well, it can take a year, 2 years when someone dies for them just to kind of process it, for them to show up.
It was about 6 or 8 months before I had my first encounter that way with him. And he comes in, he gives advice, still giving advice even from the afterlife. It's kind of funny.
That's cool.
I'll have something that's really weighing on my mind, and there he is showing up whether I like it or not. Here's the advice. This is what I'd do. So
that's kind of cool. Yeah, that's a nice tidbit.
Yeah, just the guy he was gave you the advice whether you wanted it or not.
Well, I've got an interesting one for you. I had a wonderful dog named Alien. Yes, I named him Alien, and he had a sister named Starship and Earthling. Don't judge me. And my dog,
very cosmic.
I was gonna say,
I was like, if I had another, it'd be named Human. Wanted to balance it all out. But I moved to Australia, and he was a very personable dog. Where it's like they quarantined them too long in Australia.
Well,
I think it would kill him. Yeah, something like that, really long. And I'm like, that would kill him. I can't do this. So I gave him to my best friend at the time, and I moved overseas. I was going to stay living in Australia, and but then, and this is just so cool. Like, I would have full-on dreams of hanging with him, playing with him. I swear I'd wake up and smell him, and I would feel like I got to spend time with him. Like, I would really feel like I got to spend time with him and feel so satisfied, and I couldn't, when I moved back to the United States, I couldn't find my friend. So I didn't even get to see him or visit him. I think she was afraid I'd take him back. I'm like, come on now, who would do that?
Yeah.
So I was like really, really sad about that. But I would say like every other month I'd have a real fulfilling dream of him. And it was awesome. Now, then I had a dream where he's coming my way and he's walking slowly and he looks sad, and I'm like, what's going on? And he comes and he just like lets me embrace him, and he was a Chihuahua poodle. He looked kind of like a Papillon. He was like red like a fox, black eyes, raccoon eyes, and white stripe going down his face. He was adorable. And the guy, the little guy, he's just like, I knew he was saying goodbye. And I'm like, oh no, I'm like, something's happened. Like, I don't get to see you again, like type of thing. And he just looked so sad, and he walked away, and I never had another dream of him. I know he died. I know he died.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, yes, it's amazing though, the bond that animals have with people.
Oh gosh.
I mean, it is just so, so massively huge.
Oh, it
really is. I've had cats that I've had in the past, dogs I've had in the past come visit. I had a cat that I used to own named Ricky, and when I was a kid, and he used to like to rub against your leg, the inside a certain area in your leg, and I'd feel that once in a while. For the longest time, I swear to God, they do come. You're right. They do come back.
Oh. He visited me while he was alive. He visited me. He was so special.
And that bond obviously was that close.
Yep.
That it was able to cross cosmos, so to speak, and come into your dreams. So that is a cool story. We got to run when we come back. America's Most Haunted Headlines coming your way. And then top of the hour, Reverend Tim shall be joining us. And if you have any emails you'd like to drop, stories, get a hold of us. That is afterhoursam@gmail.com. Again, afterhoursam@gmail.com. Don't be a stranger. We want to hear from you.